From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News Weekend Edition.
Good evening and welcome to our Saturday edition of the Fbx Evening News. I'm Katie Looper and we've been following a storm moving into the interior. Weatherman Mike Schultz will be along later with more on what is expected. But now our top story. Republicans in the state house are moving to strip funding for Medicaid expansion, one of Governor Bill Walker's key Alaska healthcare initiatives, from the state budget. Representative Dan Sadler, chair of the House Subcommittee on Health and Social Services, announced the removal of Medicaid expansion funding from the Department of Health and Social Services budget for fiscal year 2016 at a Friday meeting of the subcommittee. He said there are a lot of different options for Medicaid reform they need to look at. Representative Tammy Wilson was among those calling for the governor to introduce a bill on Medicaid expansion rather than incorporating it into the budget.
I'm disappointed, certainly. That was certainly in the budget. Medicaid expansion is a very important part of our goals for this session.
As the Fairbanks North Star Borough Assembly worked on air quality ordinances into the early morning hours yesterday, the state issued its list of regulations that go into effect today. Under the state regulations, people living in part of the borough are asked not to conduct open burning until April 1st. Brush and debris fires will be prohibited through March 31st. People will also have to watch their smokestacks and chimneys because the amount of smoke coming from them will have to be reduced during air quality alerts. To celebrate Black History Month this February, local students were rewarded for their efforts in studying famous African Americans with an awards presentation. The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People co-sponsored the event. Students in elementary, middle school, and high school grades had the opportunity to write an essay or complete a project about Black History Month and famous African Americans in history. Student Daisy Kilgore won second place for her essay about Dr. Carter G. Woodson. She says there was a lot to learn about his life in the early 20th century.
I think he was really set on his life goal and what he wanted to be done in his life. He looked at how people treated other people and he wanted to change that.
Even though they don't know, they never met these people who they read about, even had discussions about in class. So in order for them to know them and to know what they did to bring us this far, that's very important.
Two longtime officers from the Fairbanks Police Department are asking the public to help fund the ride. Stephanie Woodard has more in this report.
Sergeant Kurt Lockwood and Sergeant Scott McCumbee are planning to participate in the annual Police Unity Ride, a 300-plus mile bicycle ride from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. It's in May, which marks 1 year since the two Alaska State Troopers were murdered in Tanana.
Even though it's been almost a year, it seems like it was just yesterday. It really does. I still look at my phone. I have a missed call from him the day before he was shot and killed that I never called him back because I was going to go over to his house.
The duo said they had been trying to participate in the ride, which ends at the Police Memorial Wall in D.C.
This year, with everything that had gone on, just made the decision that we were going to do it, specifically because this is the year that their names are going to be inscribed on the wall, and we thought it would be an appropriate event for us to do.
Lockwood and McCumbee will be the first Alaska law enforcement officers participating in the highly demanding ride.
There's going to be about 1,800 riders. That's about every year their average, give or take a few.
Being there to see our two fallen troopers' names on the wall is important to the two, and they have begun to fundraise in order to meet their goal. Lockwood says there are a lot of costs associated with the ride, but
when I look back at footage from the funeral procession when Scott and Gabe finally made it home, I can't help but think if everybody at that procession could give up a cup of coffee for a day, $5, $10, it would fund this project in a day.
You can donate to Fund the Ride for FPD via their website, www.gofundme.com/fundtheride. I'm Stephanie Woodard reporting.
When we come back, a musical play got underway last night at North Pole High School. We'll have the details. Also, activities of all sorts were happening down on the river today, including the finish of Iron Dog's race. KTVF was there to catch all the action. Stay with us. Welcome back. Last night was the grand opening of North Pole High School's rendition of the musical play South Pacific. A story of romance, prejudice, and war, South Pacific centers on the lives of U.S. Navy soldiers and their experiences while stationed on an island during World War II. The production of this musical was put together with the help of North Pole's theater program and dedicated world history students. Bruce Hansen, the musical director of South Pacific, feels that theater is an all-encompassing and powerful art.
Because this particular show is timely and has some weight to it, the Social Studies department here at North Pole High School was very interested in being involved. They wanted the kids to know that history can travel to many different places. And of course, social studies and school and life and academics can be part of theater because theater is part of life, right? It inspires discussion and social commentary and the opportunity for people to confront themselves and the world around them. That's what theater really should be doing.
A couple weeks ago, the Literacy Council of Alaska held their annual BizBee, Spelling Bee for teen and adult teams. The event is held each year to generate donations for the Literacy Council and the different programs they offer to help children and adults learn to read. This year, the combined revenue acquired through donations and auctions totaled more than $24,000, the fourth highest amount in the 24 years the event has been staged.
Hey, we had a great BizBee this year. We raised over $24,000, so thank you to the Fairbanks community for supporting the Literacy Council of Alaska. We had 16 teams, and I'm happy to report the Literacy Council of Alaska Alpha Bees were the champions this year, spelling correctly Lomi Lomi, which is a Hawaiian massage.
The Iron Dog is known as the world's longest, toughest snow machine race. It starts in Anchorage, passes through Nome, and today they finished off in downtown Fairbanks with river games and kids events. Our cameras were there to catch the action. Here's more. Today, the Iron Dog competition packed the ice near the Cushman Street Bridge in downtown Fairbanks. Families and fans came out to support the racers.
Our Uncle Eric Quam.
Go number 20.
No, he's been in it since 99, I believe, and he's won it once before, so this is his second time winning. Team 20! Number 20!
However, on the other side of the bridge, families were playing a range of river games.
It's all about the kids in the community. You know, we have hundreds of kids show up here. They're all waiting for the big ping pong ball drop. We got the fire truck hovering over above us here. We have Elsa, Sven, Anna, Olaf, all the characters. If people come down, they can bring a food donation or cash donation to get their pictures taken with those characters. Then they can come down and go for a sling on the moose dirt bowling ride. We have dog sled rides. We've got putt-putt golf, and then the big ping pong ball drop. So it's a lot of fun.
And so what we're going to be doing is I have firefighters that are up in the platform truck, and they're going to be dumping ping pong balls down to various age groups of kids. And the kids are going to go over there and scramble to get them with the hopes of winning a Arctic Cat kitty cat snow machine.
Players who scrambled up the most ping pong balls received gifts from volunteers at the Midnight Sun Council booth.
We're helping out with the ping pong drop.
We've been cooking in the tent, and we also helping out with the drop.
It's our first time helping out, but we hope to be helping out next year and years after that.
The festivities continued all day on the ice during the finish of the unique Arctic competition.
We love Fairbanks, and this is what makes it so much fun. After this, we'll probably find some hot chocolate, and we're just having a great time being out in the cold weather, the nice warm weather for the winter.
If you missed the action on the river today, tomorrow is the Tired Iron Vintage Snow Machine Race starting at 11. This is Katie Looper reporting. We'll have more on the Iron Dog race results during sports. Speaking of that, Mike Fussell is coming up next with all your local sports action, including some Ice Dog game results from last night. Stay with us.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Mike Fussell here to get you caught up on your weekend sports. We start with some Iron Dog action tonight. A winner has been crowned for this year's longest, toughest snow machine race. Team 20, Scott Feo and Eric Quam, took first place in the Iron Dog race, coming into Fairbanks a little after noon. They crossed the line after leading most of the second half out of Nome. Scott Davis and Aaron Bartell took the number 2 spot, about 40 minutes behind, and Team 17 of Alan Hill and Mark McKenna took third. Weather conditions proved to challenge racers this year, forcing them to ride over snowless terrain and skip their machines over pools of water. So far, more than 15 teams have scratched out of the race. Eric Quam says this year's trail was the toughest he's seen in his Iron Dog career.
It was just never ending bone jarring, and if you weren't careful with running your skis through them, you take out front ends, and I think there was 1 or 2 riders that did that this year, and so we just slowed down and kind of tried to get our, keep our iron together going through there.
Well, you just saw a lot of new and advanced snow machines in the Iron Dog, but take a look at these. This is the Tired Iron Vintage Snow Machine Race. It's part of the festivities you saw earlier in the newscast, but this event that honors the good old days of racing, it happens on Sunday. This is some footage of years past, but you can expect to see the same competitive spirit on display at the event tomorrow morning. Alaska hockey traveled to the Deep South for the start of a 2-game series against the University of Alabama Huntsville last night. The Nanooks got off to a hot start, outshooting the Alabama Chargers 13-4 in the first period. Despite lopsided attempts, a shot slipped past UAF goalie Sean Cahill, putting Huntsville up at the end of 20 minutes. In the second, both the Nooks and Chargers successfully sent shots to goal, with the score 2-1 going into the final period. From then on, it was all Alaska. UAF scored 3 goals in the third period. Tyler Morley cashed in on a tying point. Marcus Basara, he found the back of the net for his second score of the night, and Colton Sparrow tallied a goal to seal the come-from-behind win. The Ice Dogs opened a home series against the tough Johnstown Tomahawks last night at the Big Dipper. It started off with Ice Dogs Jacob Stridesberg and Ryan Nagrowski, seizing scoring opportunities in the first period. That would put Fairbanks up 2-1. Then, early in the second, Jesper Orval extended the lead on a power play. Both teams each traded goals later in the period. But this was no time to leave to get a leg up on the parking lot traffic. That's because Johnstown went on a 3-point run, tying the game at 4. Hans Gorowski, he would send one sailing past the Tomahawk goalie to break the tie in the third, and an empty net shot would help the Dogs close out the 6-4 victory. Head coach Trevor Stewart says despite winning, the Ice Dogs need to take care of some issues to prepare for the postseason.
They worked really hard, and they did the same thing down in Kenai River last weekend. They got off to a slow start, I believe, on Saturday night, and they crawled their way back into the game at the end. And it's just unfortunate because it's just so touch and go with us sometimes. That's just kind of who we are as a team, and we've really got to do a good job of correcting it in a hurry, obviously, before playoff time.
In the Aurora Conference, Eielson played at home against Galena. The girls would get a huge win, 42-41 over the Hawks. Lexi Smith, she led the Ravens with 17 points, scoring 9 points in the fourth quarter and going 5 for 6 from the free throw line in the fourth. Romay Harris, she had a game high of 20 points for Galena, but the game came down to the last 2 minutes. An impressive defensive hustle by the Ravens and 2 clutch free throws by Lexi Smith with 20 seconds left put Eielson on top by 1. Smith says she expected tough competition from the Lady Hawks until the final whistle.
It was pretty stressful. We knew we had to hold on to the ball, and Galena was going to come out really pushing us. We expected that, but it was great team effort to push through that last 2 minutes. We're all exhausted. It was a really good game.
The Eielson Raven boys squad lost 47-59 to the Galena Hawks. Eielson was down by 7 at the half and just couldn't muster up the strength to get back into the game. The deficit only grew as the clock ticked on. Jacob Miller, he led Galena and all scorers with 13 points. Evan Buchanan chipped in with 11. DJ Diaz and Antonio Griffith both scored 11 points to lead the Ravens. Friday was a busy night for high school basketball outside of the interior as well. West Valley went down to Palmer, where the Lady Wolfpack pulled off an impressive 77-44 win. That sealed a perfect record for the West girls, putting them at 23-0 on the season. The Wolfpack boys, well, they fell in a close game to Palmer, 61-64. Hutchinson High swept Delta Junction on the road Friday. The boys team won 54-48. It's the largest margin of victory over Delta this season for them, and the girls took the win 58-17. The Monroe Rams, they split at Valdez. The boys win big 77-30 over the Buccaneers, but the girls fall to Valdez 60-26. And that'll do it for your weekend edition of Sports Tonight. For more, log on to Twitter, YouTube, webcenter11.com, and download our mobile app. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next.
Hey, welcome back everyone to our newscast this evening. Mike Schultz with you once again for the weather. And we had our snow this afternoon. Now we're getting the winds starting to move in and become a little more robust. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Taking a look at our almanac for the day, as you can see our numbers. Today's high 25, the low last night 16. The record high 45 in 1928, 51 below in 1932. Sunrise and sunset about 10 hours and 7 minutes. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. And as far as we're updating our weather, well, this is the latest we have from the Weather Service. The gusty winds should be slowly diminishing with visibilities reduced at times in the blowing and drifting snow. Some drifting on the roads is also possible, keep that in mind. And power outages are still also possible, so if you lose your power, you'll understand why, but things should be better by morning. Now, here's what's going on as far as the satellite and radar. Look how well-formed, I should say, this frontal system is. Getting a straight line boundary there. That's why the winds are so strong behind the system. And another system expected to move in on the west coast, but that will be not affecting our weather until probably Wednesday or Thursday, the way it looks right now. But pretty wild weather, even down around the Anchorage Bowl. What else is going on across the rest of the state? Well, you can see we have mild temperatures around Ketchikan, a little shower activity in the area there, 36 at Juneau. And the Anchorage Bowl, 31 degrees at Anchorage, down around Kodiak, 44 in clouds. 39 degrees at Cold Bay with partly cloudy skies, and then up and down the west coast, mainly clear to partly cloudy skies, but windy also out in that area. Barrow looking at 3 degrees below zero, and Fort Yukon a little snow and 27 above. Lower 48 weather looks like this, and again we're talking about maybe a little rain over the southern sections of California, even thunderstorms being reported there. The snow they had in Dallas has now changed over to rain, so I bet that's a nice mess for those folks. 22 at Denver, also 20 degrees in Minneapolis. More snow over the northeast, but nothing heavy there. And showers and rain across the deep south and over the Florida Peninsula. The overall satellite and radar kind of gives you an idea. This big blob of pink here is the frozen precipitation that moved across parts of Texas and Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, and still continues to move off to the northeast, but it's diminishing there. And out to the west, just a few pockets of moisture, but there's the showers and thunderstorms over the Los Angeles area, and that's because of a small area of low pressure that developed. Now, the overall outlook is for early next week, actually not a couple days away from now. We're looking at, again, the jet stream to continue to dive down to the south, pulling that cold air in behind it, and cold air across the northern half of the country, but down to the southern half, mainly just showers and warmer temperatures, too. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow, and again, a real mixed bag of weather going on. Some blowing snow for the Barrow area, cloudy skies at Nome, and a few snow showers in Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, everything will be gone. Cloudy skies for Fairbanks and Healy, becoming partly cloudy by evening. A few snow showers hanging around the Delta area. Over southeast Alaska, it looks like partly cloudy skies in Juneau, rain developing late at Ketchikan. While out to the southwest, mild temperatures there. Rain for Cold Bay, 44 degrees for their high tomorrow. Rain likely for Kodiak, and sunny skies expected in Bethel. And if you're heading on down the Anchorage area, keep in mind the roads will be very nasty from today's snow, but mostly sunny skies in Anchorage at Valdez, and partly cloudy skies for Homer. So our forecast for the rest of the evening looks like this. Snow and blowing snow should be slowly ending by morning, 0 for the overnight low. Tomorrow's forecast, cloudy and colder, but clearing by the evening hours, 28 degrees. And the extended forecast, temperatures going up and down here. Not too bad, warming up again by Tuesday, 30 degrees on to Wednesday, and then cooling back down again by Thursday and Friday. And maybe a chance of a little light snow possibly for Wednesday and Thursday. Overnight lows will also be cooling down to around 0 by Tuesday night, but then warming back up again to around 10 by Wednesday night.
Wow, Mike. So freezing rain last weekend and now another wild weather storm this weekend.
Interesting forecast, that's for sure. I came in because I want to make sure that this storm did not catch people by surprise, but it looks like it's not going to be as strong as we were looking at, but still the winds out there will reduce the visibility in the blowing snow, obviously.
That's good to hear. We lucked out today at the event. It was totally beautiful.
Oh, yeah, until the snow started about 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up this Saturday edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're glad you could join us.
Join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
And I say welcome aboard to you, Mike, for coming on board with us.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome, Mike. We could do this all night long.
Man, I feel left out.
Anyway, that will do it from all of us here at the News Center. Be safe, everyone. Have a great weekend, the rest of the weekend, and we'll see you again Monday.